Thank you.
Ali, let's start us off.
Congratulations, Ange. I mean, you've told these players throughout they were going to do something special this season. How does it feel to see that realised?
Yeah, look, it's hard sort of to put into words the emotions. Super proud of the players. It's a quote, my favourite Australian Prime Minister, Paul Keating, he said, after an unlikely victory, he said, this is one for the true believers. And this is certainly one for the true believers. And that means, an unbelievable group of players who never wavered, never lost faith in me and what we were doing. Unbelievable football staff led by brilliant coaches, people who work at the club, from board down, whether that's Lily Whitehouse or at the training ground, and supporters. I know people think I've got this sort of fractious relationship, but every supporter I ever bumped into was just so kind in reassuring me that, they believed in what I was doing. I'd never felt, I understand the disappointment we've put them through this year, particularly in the league, but just seeing them tonight, the impact it has on them. Some of them, it's obviously 17 years since our last trophy, 41 in Europe. Some of them have never had a night like this. So, but, it's a reward for them. And, finally to my beautiful wife and my boys and my family, my friends who, they're all my inspiration because I'm kind of the front man. It's easy for me to sort of take on the responsibility, but they've got no choice but to come along for the ride, and just seeing them out there now on the pitch, smiling faces, couldn't be happier.
Congratulations. I know you've not wanted to make this Europa League run about you, but is this your biggest achievement? You've had some amazing achievements in your career, but given the circumstances, given it sort of became this all or nothing match, is it your biggest achievement?
Look, I feel if I say that, then it diminishes, not for me, the other achievements, but the people I shared them with. But it's definitely been the toughest thing I've ever done, without a shadow of a doubt. And I knew that going into it. You know better than me that this club's had some unbelievable world-class coaches, world-class players, and they haven't had a night like this. So I knew what I was taking on. And it's fair to say that it's been really challenging because, wherever else I've had success by this stage, I've kind of had the faith and trust of everybody. And here it's been different. And I understand that's not a criticism. It's just, I think, because of the club and the way it's sort of its recent history or its history, I don't think they could always ever go all in on one person. And for me, that's always how it's worked well when, people kind of back my vision. So, but within that, I think when we got to sort of the end of January, the end of the transfer window, and I kind of assessed our situation, I just made a decision there and then that this was the trophy we were going to go for. And, it probably was at odds with what other people at the club sort of believed at the time we should do. And that's understandable. But I just really believed we could win. We could win this. And sort of everything we've done since then, everything we've done at training, everything we've done in terms of the games, the teams I've selected is about making sure when these games came around, the Europa games, that we're in the best possible condition to tackle them. And that's come at a cost for sure in the league, and I've got to take the responsibility for that. But I just felt like the end game of winning something was more important, and it was the only way I was going to do it.
Tom. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You've spoken about what a turning point this could be, the growth that the team can get from this victory. How hungry are you to drive this team forward, given the Champions League football next season?
Yeah, very, because we've got a really young group of players, and you can talk to them about success and what it means, but until they feel it, it doesn't become real. And I've got no doubt that all those boys tonight, having this feeling, will want this again. And to get it again, they're going to have to make similar sort of sacrifices. They've climbed the mountain now, so they know that what it takes to sort of get to where we are. And I think that does it accelerates the opportunities to build a team that can be successful and competitive at the highest level for years to come. So, as I said yesterday, I still feel there's a lot of work to be done. I think that's quite obvious, but not as much work as people may think. People can bang on about our 20 league defeats and where we are, but they're missing the point of what we're trying to build here, or what I'm trying to do anyway. And I really feel that tonight can be a great platform for us to kick on.
You said a minute ago that at the end of the January window you decided full focus on the Europa League. Does that explain the really sort of ruthless, efficient style that we've seen overcome Alkmaar, Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, and now tonight? And how did you find the players kind of bought into that when that was planned?
No, that wasn't part of it. But I've always treated, I've had a lot of success in my career, and not just sort of winning leagues, but also, in Australia, I grew up playing finals football to win the championship. So knockout football is always different. All my teams have always played a little bit different in knockout games, because that you've got to have a real clear game plan. Big games come down to moments. You've got to limit the moments of the opposition. You've got to change your approach. And the players embraced that, because, that was always going to be our approach in Europe, and it's why we did well in the Carabao Cup as well. We beat some decent teams in the Carabao Cup, including City, including United, and we beat Liverpool in the first leg, played a similar way. But also it helps that I've got Van der Ven and Romero and Vicario and Udogie and Porro, all these guys available. And again, that was part of the sort of mindset of making sure they were available for these big games. And I thought the lads handled the whole Europa sort of knockout stages, brilliantly. Knew what we had to do. Were really efficient with what we did, and I think got the just rewards.
George.
Hi, Ange. Well done. You mentioned a lot of people at the top there. Your dad's no longer with us, but what would he make of his son doing this, and what does it mean back in Australia as well?
Yeah, he's still with me, mate. His voice is in my head all the time, and as I get older, I look in the mirror, I see his face sometimes, which is frightening as it seems. He's with me all the time, mate. My dear mum's in Greece with my sister, and my nephews. I'm sure they're over the moon, and it's massive in Australia and in Greece. I've got family in both countries and friends in both countries, and they've been along for the journey the whole way. And it's hard because I'm big enough and ugly enough to take whatever comes my way, but they get hurt when people sort of come at me, and they pay the price, particularly those closest to me, my beautiful family and my friends, and they want to defend me. And I keep telling them it's a small price to pay when you have nights like this. And I've been fortunate. I've had plenty of nights like this, and just seeing them tonight. And I know everyone in Australia, they would have got up early in the morning. They'll be buzzing, and people in Greece, and more importantly, the people here with me. It's another special night we share together.
Hi, Ange. Congratulations. You talk about backing your vision. I mean, how does a club let go of a manager who's just delivered them their first trophy in 41 years in European competition?
Look, I think I said yesterday, I'm pretty kind of, not relaxed is not the word, because I'd be disappointed if we couldn't continue on this path. But, like I said, it's not a criticism. I understand why it would be difficult for a club like this to buy into one person's vision. I remember when I signed, it was kind of, the club, I think even Daniel sort of said, we went after winners, it didn't work, and now we've got Ange. And, mate, I'm a winner. I've been a serial winner my whole career. It's what I've done more than anything else, and I know people talk about my football, which I'm very proud of, and I know people dismiss my achievements because, they didn't happen to happen on this side of the world, but for me, they're all hard-earned, and all I've done my whole career is win things. And but I understand, look, obviously the way things have gone in the league, you know, people are rightly to be concerned about. Like I said, I don't think there's a true reflection of where we're at. But whatever happens, I said my own sort of belief in what I do doesn't waver, and I'll continue to kind of push on to do what I do.
Ange, well done. It was noticeable at the end, the players were celebrating with unbridled joy. You were standing back quietly. Is that just your style, or was there an element of relief as well?
Oh, there's huge relief. I mean, you ask any manager, and I'm telling you that's the biggest feeling, because you carry the weight of responsibility. I mean, you know, I think this is maybe our 59th game or 60th game this year. That means me and Anthony have been in front of you guys 120 times, you know, plus the extras that we do. I mean, that's probably 150, 160 times I've been a spokesman for this football club this year. And I know everything I say is important. Fair to say I don't always get it right. So all that kind of responsibility weighs on your shoulders. And so it is. It's relief, but also I'm a lot older than those guys, mate, and I've learned to understand that what makes nights like these memorable is to remember them. So I kind of stand back and just watch everyone else enjoy it, and that's all I need.
James, final one, please.
Congratulations, Ange. I know you said you're sort of relaxed about the situation, but can you just give us an idea of what the next few days are like? Is there a meeting planned with Daniel or with the hierarchy? Because you must want some clarity one way or the other.
No planned meetings. I haven't had any discussions. No one's spoken to me about anything. Maybe they felt like they don't need to, or they were waiting for this game. Look, what I do know is that I'm going to go back to my hotel room, get my family and friends together, open up a nice bottle of scotch, have a couple of quiet ones, get ready for a massive parade on Friday, play Brighton on Sunday, really important, our last home game. We want to finish strong, and then Monday I'm going on holidays with my beautiful family, because I deserve it. And que sera, sera.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.